Welcome back to the brown carpet. I am Corey, and with me as always is Gary Grim Smith from Deaf to All But Metal. Here, celebrity guests, celebrity introductions. Gaz, what are we doing here today? Explain to the people.
You're not Corey, though.
No, I'm not, but it's an act. It's an act. The people don't know that. The people know that now. It's a suspension, a willing suspension of disbelief.
Right.
Everyone knows this by now. Every week we take a zany news story.
Zany or wacky.
Or wacky.
Yes.
Wacky's acceptable as well. And we turn it into a shitty movie pitch. Ask me if that's the end of it.
Is that the end of it?
No, Gary.
Why did I have to ask you?
It's like a joie de vivre kind of thing.
Right.
No, it's not the end, Gary, because then you, dear listener, you go online to the Facebook page and you vote for your favourite pitch, and then we make an even shittier movie poster out of it. So doesn't that sound like fun?
It's going to be fun. It's going to be different for you because you'll be a pitcher rather than a catcher this time.
Hey!
Wait, whoa!
It's less than 4 minutes in.
Got him, yeah.
Got it, yes!
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Jumped over 3 linebackers in midair, sprouted antlers like a gazelle.
No one laughs at a master of quack fool.
Real nice.
Many have died from starvation due to the difficulty of finding enough food, such as seal.
Shut up! No more Mr. Nice Duck. That's it. Right, Mr. Sitz?
What do you make of that? You know, it's the most fantastic story I've ever heard.
The Brown Carpet Podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Brown Carpet Podcast, the number one snuff film podcast in Australia.
This is episode 17.
It is.
Is it? 17.
17, yeah.
We got a few guests on the show today. Very special guests from the Deaf to All But Metal podcast. Maybe they can introduce themselves. Who are you, fellas?
Ooh, well, we can introduce our proper black metal names.
Yeah, please do.
Please do. Do
I
you need
am...
to growl these? Or?
No.
We'll get the long one out of the way first. Okay.
I am Jeremy Spoken Class A Day, David Sons of Northern Darkness.
Hello, I'm Gary Grim.
And that's it. Yeah, thanks for having us.
That's it.
Yeah, lovely to have you.
Great having you guys on.
Pleasure to be here.
So it's pitch-a-palooza today. We're going 2-on-2, no holds barred.
DVDA.
Cage match.
4 dicks, DVDA today.
Yeah. So, you guys come from a metal podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Let's say you are thrown on an island, a heavy metal island, and you had 3 desert island discs to take with you of the heavy metal genre. Jeez. What are you taking?
Well, I like this because we're usually the ones asking these kinds of questions.
We are, yeah.
The hard-hitting questions.
Right on the spot.
I think it would have to be, I'm going classic here, and it's very obvious, it'd be Metallica's Black Album.
Oh, sure.
I think it's,
Yep.
I think I'd then do something quite obscure for the sad, foraging, stormy times.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that would have to be something Norwegian, like Transylvanian Hunger by Dark Throne.
Oh, yeah.
And the third would undoubtedly be Machine Head's latest record. It's an absolute opus.
You love a bit of catharsis.
Oh, it's an opus. Gaz, you?
Well, I'm not going to bring new metal back like Jeremy here.
Sorry, it never left.
It never left your heart, I know.
No, it's never left my heart.
Have you seen the Download Festival lineup?
Yeah, are they all?
Yeah, Jeremy got his tickets on the first day for that.
Mm-hmm.
Pumped. Be rolling down to Melbourne very soon. Jeez, Desert Island Discs. Definitely say Killing Machine by Judas Priest, just for a bit of a more kind of upbeat kind of album. On the way down, probably a Leviathan album, 10th sub-level of Suicide.
Sure.
And one more. Probably the album that got me into metal proper was Vulgar Display of Power by Pantera.
Ooh, there it is.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Love it. Let's do paper, rock, scissors to see who goes first. Are you ready for this, Gaz?
I'm ready.
On the
I
count
was
of three,
born
let's
ready.
go. 1, 2. Gaz will lead it off. So the guests take
Guests
the floor.
go first.
All right. So what did you guys come up with this week?
There was so many articles we could have gone with this week. But Gaz, will you please do the honours?
Man burns down his California apartment trying to kill a huge wolf spider with fire. We've all been there.
So basically, a man from California attempted to kill a spider using a torch lighter. So he's the
the
way I picture that is the lighter in the aerosol can.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the way I would like to think it happened. The fire forced the residents to evacuate, and firefighters were immediately summoned to the building. Long story short, the fire caused moderate damage, and no one was injured.
But did he get the spider?
Well, no one knows.
No one
This is a
knows.
mystery.
Fuck.
Okay.
Old mate should know. He was fucking.
Well, he said
throwing the
it was a
flamethrower.
huge wolf spider, and then they just sort of talk about the fire. I think his mind was sort of on other things by that stage.
Treasured belongings, pets, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Apparently, it caused.
To be fair, though, if you're trying to kill a giant wolf spider with a lighter and aerosol can, it does beg the question what cherished items you own.
Yeah.
Like, what are those cherished
Yeah,
items?
life's
You know what I
pretty
mean?
cheap if you go on that way. Just fucking get a thong and smack it.
It's all downhill from here. So, with that, we have written a brilliant screenplay
Okay, fair enough.
for our
The Citizen Kane of pest extermination.
of pest extermination,
Right, no high flash here.
briefly entitled
the bar is high.
"Fly Away Home."
Nice. Okay.
Gary,
The film opens with our protagonist Jim, played by Paul Rudd,
Paul Rudd.
Nice.
I love Paul Rudd.
I love Paul Rudd.
moving into a new apartment. After retrieving the last few boxes of his possessions from his car, he makes a dash towards the closing doors of the apartment building's elevator and elbows his way inside. Within the elevator, Sandra, played by Rosario Dawson.
Rosario Dawson.
Great cast.
Yeah.
That's good casting already.
That's
That's
I
nice.
feel the electricity between
Yes.
them.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, she's one of his new neighbours. The pair make idle chit-chat filled with exposition and sexual tension. Jeremy.
Cut to inside Jim's new apartment. The aforementioned Jim is unpacking with his friend Reggie, played by Hannibal Buress, when they notice a strange odour emanating from the kitchen. Upon closer inspection, the guys realise the smell is being emitted from a dead black cat beneath the kitchen sink.
That's unlucky.
Stanky.
A lone fly buzzing around the corpse of the cat escapes from the cupboard and into the apartment. Reggie tries to return to unpacking, but Jim, an animal lover, he's a softie,
Okay.
insists on a proper burial for the deceased cat.
In the community garden outside of the apartment building, Jim lands the final shovelful of dirt onto the cat's grave and proceeds to give a moving eulogy. He encourages Reggie to join in, but Reg remains apathetic towards the dead
Doesn't
cat.
care. He's not fussed.
He gives
Cold.
no shits.
He's not fussed.
Cold, stone
He's
cold.
cold. Stone cold.
It's Hannibal Buress, man. He doesn't give a fuck.
Zero fucks.
Why do you care about that cat? I think we're still working obviously on scripting issues. That evening, Jim has returned to his new apartment and settles in for a night of Netflix and what we assume is masturbation. He is disturbed by a faint sound of
can I
buzzing.
break in?
What? Yeah, of course
So
you
if
can.
you're masturbating to Netflix, what show would we be watching? What's a good Netflix show to wank to, do you reckon?
I don't know, How to Make a Murderer.
Ugly Delicious.
Ugly Delicious is the reflection of the kind of porn that Jeremy likes to look at.
Clearly, yeah.
I'll just take this knife out of my back. Hang on. He is disturbed by a faint sound of buzzing. He is put off his stroke when a large blowfly, the one that was earlier seen around the deceased feline, starts to buzz by his cranium. Jim tries to gently wave the fly away, but to no avail. Now flaccid. I actually don't know how, like in sort of a sort of PG, and I imagine it'd be an M movie, how we're gonna, like a really disappointed sigh kind of
Look,
is
we're
suggest
going
that.
to let you behind the curtain for a second. We were quite drunk when we were writing this.
Cool. The tent has gone down.
Now flaccid, he decides to go to bed but remains sleepless throughout the night, disturbed by the machinations of the lone fly.
This fly needs a supporting actor role.
The next day, a weary Jim is at the office typing away behind a computer. All seems like a usual day until Jim believes he hears a noise on the edge of regular hearing. He removes his headphones, but hears nothing outside the usual office background noises. Returning to his work, he hears a noise once more. Again, his headphones are removed, and again, there's nothing out of the ordinary. Writing off the strange sound as a byproduct of his lack of sleep from the previous evening, Jim takes this moment of distraction to call his real estate agent, played by Danny DeVito.
Hey!
Jeremy, can I ask you to play Danny DeVito's lines when they come up?
Please.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just lower the mic if you can.
I don't think, yeah.
Under
He's just walked in.
Is that a knock at the door? Christopher Walken, you're bringing Danny DeVito into the...
No, Gary, it's crazy that I'm not in this film.
I'm sorry, Chris. We auditioned you but for The Fly, and you didn't cut the mustard.
Needed someone less of stature.
Shall I go
Keep
on?
going. Sorry, keep going. Yeah.
Jim informs the agent of the dead cat situation in the apartment, and the agent tries to explain it away. Jim then informs him there's now a pest problem in the apartment with flies keeping him awake at night, and the real estate agent reluctantly says,
Hey, look, no problem. For you, I'll send over my 2 best guys. That was really bad.
That's really good.
Amazing.
I really tried to capture the short.
Thanks so much, Mr. DeVito.
I felt
That's
it.
amazing.
Okay, cut to Jim's apartment. The fly is again hovering around and making a nuisance of itself. Jim swats at the fly with his hands with a bit more vigour than before. He looks at his watch, only to notice the exterminators he was expecting are late. Frustrated by the buzzing of the fly, we cut to Jim at the local corner store buying some bug spray. He says to the cashier, if I was to spray a fly with this, it wouldn't hurt it, wouldn't it? I mean, it'd be a quick death, right? And the cashier, played by Craig Robinson,
Ah, nice.
which I thought was an interesting casting
Yeah.
choice. We really wanted him in this film. I've been watching a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Sure. We wanted Doug
and we
Judy.
wanted Doug Judy in this film.
Yeah.
And I think just him standing behind that counter saying, oh, yeah, sure thing. Whatever you want. Think of me when you smush. Like, it's a little bit of a throwback.
In the elevator on the way back to his apartment, bug spray in tentative hand, Jim once again runs into Sandra. He nervously says, we've got to stop meeting like this. The other residents are starting to talk.
Sexual tension.
Oh, yeah.
Lace
Building
the
it up.
electricity.
Sandra laughs nervously and says, you're new around here. You probably need someone to show you around the ropes. Jim says, that's true. I've noticed how ropey it is around these parts.
It's crackling.
Sandra invites Jim to dinner that night, to which he readily agrees.
Electric.
Yeah.
Electric, right?
He's no longer flaccid.
Yes. Oh, no.
Tuck it into the belt, big fella. Can you guys stop wiggling paper around? You've not done this before?
Sorry, no, we
For
haven't.
fuck's sake.
Wiggle,
No,
wiggle
sorry.
away. It's fine.
Boy does every fucking week. Seriously.
Back in the apartment, Jim has gone from a casual spray here and there to an uncharacteristic of the fly spray.
the
Come
fly.
on,
You have to
people.
clarify.
Come on
That
now.
masturbation scene was...
Bit of shush.
was
Come
ages ago.
on. To an uncharacteristically furious chasing of the fly around the apartment with the bug spray at full blast. The sound of the fly is almost deafening until we hear the toll of the doorbell, at which point all buzzing ceases. Jim surveys the scene, notices the fly has disappeared, calms himself and answers the door.
I just read ahead, sorry.
Enter the 2 plucky, phenomenally sexually attractive exterminators who are unable to wear shorts due to the size of their turgid members, as played by Gary and Jeremy, to a lesser extent.
To a lesser extent, Jeremy. I wrote that in there, sorry.
Turgid. I love that word.
Jeremy begins to inspect the apartment whilst Gary engages with Jim, telling him about the lethality of the various poisons the exterminators use with an enthusiasm that makes Jim pretty uncomfortable. And Jeremy
Can I
steps
just
in.
say, I fucking love that word, lethality. That's
Lethality.
a
Thanks.
band name right there. Fucking
Yeah.
Hi, we're Lethality. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
Microsoft Word doesn't recognize that as an actual word, though.
That's outrageous. That's fucking outrageous.
I just wanted to use it.
Yeah, nice.
Jeremy steps in. Yeah, don't worry about him. He's new. A couple of months on the job, we'll quell that joie de vivre. Full circle.
it.
Yeah. We've even put a note pronounced with an exaggerated Australian accent.
Sounds like Del Boy.
Jim remembers the date that he is now running late for with Sandra. No worries, mate, assures Jeremy. You leave it with us. And hey, if all else fails, we got a couple of shotties in the back of the van. Topical, yeah?
Yeah.
Topical.
Gun violence.
Yeah.
Jim pauses at the sudden violent turn the conversation has taken, but shakes it off and runs to the elevator.
Jim's a bit of a pacifist, yeah?
He is. He's
a peaceful warrior.
He
He's a
loves
peaceful
animals, you know. He has a PETA bumper sticker on the back of his
Yeah,
car.
I feel that about him.
You know.
Wears a lot of hemp.
Yep, totally. At the restaurant, Sandra looks at the time on her phone. I originally wrote she looks at a watch, but then I realized, I was making it modern.
The kids. This is for the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Look into
you
that
can you can edit that out. Yeah? Okay, cool. I'll give you a clean cut. At the restaurant, Sandra looks at the time on her phone, then looks up to see a slightly frantic Jim. He apologizes for his lateness, to which Sandra replies with a shy smile. Hey, don't apologize to me. Tell it to the search parties I sent out after you.
Sense of humour.
Yeah.
She does.
Plucky sense of humour.
Lucky. Jim laughs and the pair visibly relaxes into dinner, drinks, and getting to know each other.
I feel like a montage.
Oh, yeah.
That would be an excellent montage right there. All is going swimmingly when Sandra excuses herself to use the bathroom. In her absence, Jim hears a familiar buzzing.
Oh, no.
For the listeners, Jeremy's acting out all the actions.
We need to film this.
I'm just there, man. I'm just there.
He's in the zone.
We put a lot into this pitch.
Yeah.
A lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into this.
Not the only fluids.
Oh. Reflexively, Jim swings his limbs wildly at the fly and disrupts the surrounding tables. Before he can apologize for the disruption, another sharp buzzing sound nears his head, causing him to lash out in another direction, disrupting more nearby folk. Losing his cool even further, Jim is now climbing on tables, punching and kicking at a foe invisible to all others.
He's losing his shit.
Jimbo.
In a moment of clarity and embarrassment, he flees the scene. Sandra returns to their table only to find that Jim has abandoned her and left her with the bill.
Oh.
That's death. That's not first date death.
Back at Jim's apartment, a more than frazzled Jim enters to a strong odour of pesticides that dizzies him slightly and makes him cough. He gets on the phone with Reggie, and Reggie placates Jim in a no-nonsense manner, telling him that it's just a fly. You got to relax, man.
Your Hannibal's getting better and better.
We'll get there by the end. Jim takes on his advice and tries to drive the fly from his mind. Laughing at how silly he's been, Jim seems to regain some of his sanity. However, the fly becomes more aggressive in its attacks on our protagonist's skull. Jim closes his eyes tightly, and thoughts of fly-based retribution overtake the calm he has found. The words of the slightly less... I didn't even read this. I read this. The words of the slightly less attractive exterminator, Jeremy, echo in his head.
Less turgid as well.
If all else fails, we get a couple of shotties in the back of the van. Jim's eyes snap open and suddenly he bolts from the apartment.
He's gone off the rails.
Jeremy's got another impression to do in this
good.
part.
Fuck yeah.
Please.
At a nearby gun store,
Topical, yes?
Is he a teacher?
he'd already have a gun.
Yeah, if I was a teacher, I'd already have a gun.
Right?
Yep.
Right, America? At a nearby gun store, a wired Jim comes puffing up to the counter. The clerk, played by Sam Elliott, gives Jim an appraising and disapproving look up and down.
Can I help you?
Asks the clerk. Jim says, I need a gun. All of the guns, or just a very high-powered gun.
Okay, sir. This here gun will turn goat piss into gasoline. Hey, hang on a minute. What are you needing this here gun for?
Without a thought, Jim replies honestly, a fly. There's a little pest flying around my personal space that needs to be squashed, and no regular weapon is going to kill it. I need vengeance.
Whoa. Hold on there, partner. I didn't ask for your life story. Johnny Law just makes me ask that question. You got the cash, you got the carry.
It's a bit McConaughey. I love it.
Just a couple of guns. Yes, they do.
All right.
Sorry.
Jim slams the money onto the counter and runs out of the store with the gun.
And the door of Jim's apartment bursts open and is slammed immediately shut with a hyperactive Jim inside. All right, my little friend. Say hello to my other little friend. At which point Jim opens fire. There's an exterior shot of the apartment that shows windows shattering from flying bullets and nearby pedestrians ducking for cover. Back inside, Jim is unleashing hell. The volley of bullets ceases to the clicking sound of an empty gun magazine. Jim listens to the ensuing silence in the apartment as a grin cautiously inches its way across his face at the thought of his defeated foe. Suddenly, the buzzing starts anew, and louder than ever before. Jim screams to the seemingly uncaring heavens, grabs the bug spray and a lighter, his makeshift flamethrower, and douses the apartment in flames.
Cut to Sandra. All of her angry phone calls to Jim's apartment have gone unanswered, and she haughtily marches over to his apartment to give him an extra large piece of her mind. She wants her money back from dinner, Approaching the apartment, she notices smoke billowing from beneath the door. Panicked, she calls 911.
Cut to the hospital. We see Jim's point of view. His eyes wearily open. His blurred vision sees Sandra and Reggie standing over him in the hospital bed. He shuts his eyes again.
Cut to the courtroom where Jim's lawyer is pleading not guilty by means of insanity. The gavel bangs.
Cut to Jim adorned in a straitjacket thrown into a padded cell. He rages against the newly locked door for a minute before taking in his surroundings. He relaxes against one of the padded walls and breathes out a sigh of relief. Finally, he murmurs.
Oh, no.
Nothing can get in or out. I'm free. God damn it,
There's the growing sound of a familiar buzzing. Jim's eyes widen as we cut to black and credits.
Oh, so good. I got to clap.
Thank you.
That was amazing.
Searing political commentary as well.
You want the tagline? Is this where we do
Please
that?
do.
Gary,
Please do.
Gary, the tagline?
What do you got?
See what all the buzz is about.
That's great.
Thank you.
We've got a few added cast to add to that.
Please, yeah.
So far, we should go back over the cast.
Yeah,
right?
talk us through who you got
So
far.
lead, Jim is played by Paul Rudd.
Yep.
The female lead by Rosandra is Rosario Dawson. Mm-hmm. His best friend is Hannibal Buress. Who else we got?
Craig Robinson, the cashier at the store where he buys the bug spray.
Danny DeVito, the landlord.
That's right.
This is
You got
stacked.
Sam
This is a
Elliott
stacked
/
cast.
Matthew McConaughey.
Sam Elliott or Matthew McConaughey. We'll see who's free.
Sure. Yeah.
As the gun store clerk.
Yep.
Both Jeremy and myself as the exterminators.
As us as the exterminators.
Yep.
And then the fly buzzing, we had...
Jeff Goldblum as
course
the
it
fly
is.
buzzing.
That's perfect.
But the fly mocap, because it's all CG, that's Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
He's in it. He's been in every one of our films, I think.
He's the only guy that can do it right. I mean, no one else knows.
No
how
one
to
trusts
do it.
anyone else.
Gets a bit of work.
Yeah, he does.
Soundtrack.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bring it.
I believe I can fly.
Oh, perfect. Just on repeat.
Believe just the whole way through the film.
That comes over the end credits. At the beginning, we start with Fly by Sugar Ray as well, just to kind of...
Wow. Knew that off the bat. That's pretty embarrassing.
Sugar Ray.
Okay, sure.
Human Fly by the Cramps.
It's pretty much any song with fly in the title.
Basically. Anything by Wings.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey.
Yeah, it's good.
So, budget.
The
How much for this thing?
Well, we've got to scope Sam Elliott and Matthew McConaughey. So, so I reckon everyone involved would probably do it for a case of beer. And
can't see why not.
Seriously though, we
Jeff
thought
Goldblum wouldn't even know that he was recording something.
Well, no, he just as long as dinner's provided, he'll do it.
Someone call menu log.
Menu log. I think we figure 50, 60
Yeah,
for this one. Ballpark figure.
Yeah. We had no idea.
We had literally no idea.
Yeah.
We had literally no
I mean, it's
idea.
like an indie film.
It is an indie film. Apart from the big blaze at the end, it's pretty.
Not a lot of locations or anything.
I don't know
like
what is like what's a big movie film's budget these days?
200.
200
like
million?
but we're talking like Thor. That's like 200, 300.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be that much.
Nah.
Basically, it's just something about Mary, but with a fly.
Yeah.
It's like phone booth, but with a fly.
Yeah.
A few more locations.
A few more locations.
A couple more, yeah.
But we figure it's just a soundstage, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know how much that costs. Well, we pitch it up to what, 100?
Yeah.
Miramax is on the line for it, so it's fine.
We've got room to
Weinstein
bargain.
hasn't been answering your calls.
No, I assume he's changed.
That's fucking great stuff.
He
I didn't
has.
expect all the impersonations, but top shelf.
Yeah.
Neither did I, to be honest. But Gary is just simply a master of disguises.
Hey, I'm always here to drop you in the shit. Don't worry.
Thank you.
I believe I can fly. I believe.
Well, gentlemen, that was delightful. I've got to say, you've kind of come on first time and showed us up.
We had to bring it, didn't we?
It's
You
what
brought
we
it.
do.
Yeah, you brought it big time. We're pretty much fucked now. That's
You're
top
never
shelf.
allowed on again. That was
Deaf to Orbit Metal, heads ain't ready, man. Heads ain't ready.
for life.
Yeah.
Banned for life.
Incidentally, Band for Life is the name of the other pitch we have, if you'll indulge. What do you got for us, fellas?
All right, well, this week we found an interesting little story. I'll give you the headline. Dozens of creepy statues mysteriously turn up on SoCal homeowner's lawn.
Oh.
Yeah. Mystery. Let me talk you through it. When a Southern California homeowner first noticed small lawn statues being dropped off at her front yard, she brushed it off as a harmless prank. But then, more began cropping up over several weeks, dozens of them, and the statues had been placed facing her front door as if they were plotting against us. Since the end of July, ceramic gnomes, lions, bunnies, and other decorative lawn statues have dotted the front yard of her Victoriaville home. Of the 54 statues, some of them broken and chipped, only 2 of them belong to her.
It's a long grift.
It's a what?
It's a long grift. It's a long prank.
Yeah. They're playing the long
I
game.
100% respect that dedication to a prank.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up in high school, we did this thing every year where when it was council cleanup, we would take we would go around my buddy's cars towards the end of high school, and we would in his trailer. And we would throw, because people would throw out couches, old couches and tables and outdoor chairs. So we would every year make a lounge room setting in the front of this girl we knew from school's front yard. Right. So we'd set up, one year they threw out a TV, so we put the TV on a little TV table and then set up a little, a chair. It was a couch. Someone had thrown up a couch. So I completely respect this dedication to a prank.
Okay, it continues. I have 3 kids, so I assumed that instead of being TP'd, I got yard creatured, she said with a laugh. But her children had no idea who had left the statues there. Some of them are creepy, though. Their faces are broken ugh, said her son, Nolan. Things have got even creepier when another batch of about 20 suddenly showed up a few days later. They were in a tree. They were everywhere. On Monday morning, it happened a 3rd time. Robin figured the statues had probably been stolen from other yards. There's a good section of them that look like they came from the same home, because someone has taken the time to paint them all similar. I had a bad feeling because I know these things aren't cheap. So anyway, that's our jumping off point.
I don't want to step on your pitch or anything like
jump
that.
in, please. What do you got?
But I'd kind of like to imagine the grizzled kind of detective showing up to the house. So have you got any enemies? Anyone's holding a grudge or anything like that? She's like, it's just statues. And he's like, yeah, that's what they all say.
I immediately pictured the son as being played by Matthew McConaughey.
It's true. Yeah, or Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott would be They were so freaky. It's like he's in the room. It's amazing. Knowing Josh as I do, have we got a horror pitch marching boldly our way?
You don't.
Oh,
shit.
Sexy.
It's a romantic comedy.
It's very sexy.
Really? Okay. You have thrown a curveball, sir.
Strap on the tracky pants. So the title of our film is Retirement Gnome.
Do you want to go?
Love a good pun.
Do you want to go bold?
Shall I lead us off?
You lead us off.
Okay. Beatrice Catheter is a faded but fabulous 86-year-old retiree living in the Biddy Crone retirement village. She's also a witch.
Whoa.
She's to be played by Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
The Streeper. She can do no wrong.
Yeah.
We watch a flashback montage of a life well lived. You see, Beatrice isn't your average witch. Over the years, she's used her witching powers to curate an existence of wild adventure, sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah. She would have lived a life.
Yeah.
She did.
Oh,
she would have lived a life.
Oh, just wait for it. She took no prisoners on her quest for hedonism. From her early years as a groupie touring with the likes of Chuck Berry and Jerry Lee Lewis, she bewitched bouncers to get backstage, dealers to get free drugs, and musicians to inspire classic songs and melodies. In fact, she was the inspiration for Bad Company's Feel Like Making Love after wooing vocalist Paul Rodgers. Yeah, she was. In a game of lewd-filled strip poker.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the 60s, she started a sex toy company called The Fapple Store. Each item was imbued with potent black magic, 100% orgasm guarantee that spawned a string of best-selling products such as Long Dong Silver, Adolf Klittler, and Dildo Shaggins. The Adolf Klittler was discontinued shortly after, however, after neo-Nazis began using them as weapons at white power rallies.
Beatrice built an empire based on self-pleasure and became a millionaire when she sold the company in the early 70s. Since then, she's been a globe-trotting, adventure-seeking boss with mad stacks in the bank and a grand total of 0 fucks to give.
An intelligent, confident, and highly sexual woman, we've established that, I think. She used every tool in her magical arsenal to create the lifestyle she desired and lived her life to the absolute limits and beyond.
Sorry, Arsenal. Sorry.
Yeah. That's double A double S in the, yep. If her life was a party, it would be a 4-day bender orgy comprised of huffing nangs, chugging ayahuasca, and rewriting the Kama Sutra.
And while her crazy days are long gone, her womanly needs are stronger than ever. However, it's been slim pickings at the old folks' home. But that doesn't stop Beatrice from trying it on at every opportunity. Sadly, out of the small percentage who are willing, time has taken its toll on their nether regions. And the only thing rising these days is blood pressure.
So, she uses her witchery like a snake charmer's flute to elicit boners in grandpas who have no business cracking wood. However, she's starting to slip. With the onset of her golden years, her black magic is beginning to get a little ropey. Ropey. Callback there.
Yeah.
Her spells are not as focused as they once were, and mistakes are starting to creep into her game.
Last month, she accidentally turned one of her lovers into a shepherd's pie. And last week, she mistakenly teleported a bed buddy to Bangladesh. Her best friend, Gloria Cockburn, to be played by Helen Mirren.
Sorry, I'll stop you there. It's actually pronounced Coburn.
Coburn,
It's
sorry.
actually pronounced Coburn. Sorry.
Gloria Coburn.
And also, she put the bang in Bangladesh. Sorry.
Sorry. Keep
Continue.
going. Sorry.
Spicing it up.
Gloria feels it's time Beatrice shut down the magic before anyone else ends up dead, or worse, but not before one final farewell orgy. Over the next few days, Beatrice and Gloria put the word out. Saturday midnight, geriatric gangbang going down in the rec room. Gilfs only. BYA spoons, hot soup provided.
Oh, fuck.
Beatrice sets to work making
Hot soup provided?
Yeah, and that isn't a euphemism. There's actual soup. This is a...
No, that's
There will be
that's
soup.
what I was hoping for.
Man, it's getting even hotter in this room right now.
Yeah, wow.
I'm glad I didn't wear pants.
Yeah, no, take your shirts off. Let's just get loose. This is good.
Beatrice sets to work making...
Can I sorry.
That's
to
right.
keep interrupting.
No, do it.
I'm just... I think I speak for Gary and myself here when I just want to know a little bit more about the soup. Like, what kind of soup are they going to be serving
Oh,
at
we
the
get
party?
into that.
We-
Don't worry.
it's about to drop.
We're gonna go into
Oh,
detail.
my goodness.
Yeah.
The soup is key.
Oh, my goodness. I love minestrone, man. This is off the chain.
Beatrice sets to work making a big batch of a special love soup. A blended broth of pig parts, cow tongue, bug eyes, and frog skin.
Flash cut. It's Saturday night. 15 minutes till the Granny Gropathon goes down. And Jeremiah Glump shows up early. Jeremiah is that way too excited guy who always shows up awkwardly early to every party. He used to be played by Robert De Niro.
Wow. Okay.
I could also play that part.
Think about that.
I'm a massive
De Niro
nerd.
for now, but we'll keep you in
I'm a
mind.
massive nerd. I've got the experience.
No, we've got your number.
Okay,
It's fine.
thanks.
The age is a problem, but
Beatrice and Gloria are still making the final preparations, setting the mood light, plumping the pillows, laying out the wet wipes, and arranging the
my
Astroglide
God.
lube tubes.
Jeremiah is fired up. A very randy but highly unattractive gentleman, this is his first orgy, and he can barely contain himself. While the ladies are busy readying the room, he decides he's going to spike the soup with his own personal stash of boner pills. Unbeknownst to Jeremiah, he has bungled the beautiful balance of Beatrice love broth.
Whoa.
That's the alliteration. in that one.
Yeah, alliteration. Fire.
Midnight strikes and the guests begin to arrive, with Beatrice and Gloria handing out a steamy bowl of special soup to every attendee. Dentures are set aside en masse, and the room is filled with sounds of slurping as the pre-party soup is guzzled with gusto.
Oh, my God.
Tight, isn't it?
Within minutes, the effects begin to take place. All around the room, tent poles are popping in track pants. No need to put the dentures back in, it's business time. Jeremiah is the first one to break the ice. Having downed his soup in record time, he's up from the table with his pants around his ankles before most people have finished.
With his ancient yellowed Y fronts jutting out like the nose of a Concorde, he's
Ancient
clearly...
yellowed Y fronts.
You've got
Like
it.
cardboard. I love it.
I just love dick and jutting in the same...
There should be more of it. He's clearly ready for liftoff. Who wants to ride the pleasure train? I'm rock hard, he bellows, as he yanks his underwear down in one swift movement.
Whoa.
Also, Dick Judding could be a character.
Yeah, dick jutting.
Just a note.
Sensational.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. There's an audible gasp from the table. He is indeed rock hard. Literally, his penis has turned to stone.
Whoa.
Aghast at what he sees, he reaches down to inspect his member, but his hands have become solid cement, and before his eyes, he watches his arms solidify, and within seconds, Jeremiah has become a highly offensive statue.
Gloria freaks out. Thinking Beatrice has messed up the love soup, she demands... she thinks it now? Like,
Yeah, now.
Thinking Beatrice has messed up the love soup, she demands she cast a spell to reverse the effects immediately. And now a full-scale panic breaks out in the room.
Beatrice hastily starts chanting a reverse spell, but amidst the chaos, she misses out a few phrases and mispronounces some words. The black magic results are disastrous.
Instead of undoing the initial problem, she creates an entirely new one, as every person in the room, including Gloria, starts transforming into farmyard animals before her eyes, and then into stone statues.
In a matter of minutes, the room falls silent. Beatrice sits in the rec room, surrounded by almost 24 cement animals.
Through tears of sorrow, she casts one final spell to remove the evidence. She waves her hand, and in a flash of light, the collection of creatures disappear.
It's morning in the quiet Southern Californian suburbs, and soccer mum, Robin, opens her front door in her dressing gown. Robin is to be played by Maya Rudolph.
Well casted.
Yeah.
She screams when she sees the front yard. Almost 24 animal statues sit there, creepily staring back at her in silence.
Worst of all, on the path to her letterbox, the centre statue is Jeremiah, an unattractive grandpa with his pants around his ankles and an aggressive boner pointed straight at her.
I'm just curious.
Yeah?
What do you define as an aggressive boner?
Turgid to the point of bursting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
right.
at the 11th
An
hour.
aggressive, like the boner. The boner intends you and your family harm.
Danger, yes.
Yeah.
Most
Okay.
certainly.
Right. I understand. Yeah.
Imminent.
Angry.
Angry.
It's not allowed near school zones or anything.
Yeah. Angry boner.
Robin screams again and slams the front door, the vibrations causing Jeremiah's statue to topple over backwards and shatter into tiny pieces.
Cut to black.
Oh,
Wow.
that really was taken in a different direction from what I thought it was going.
Yeah.
Jeremy, can I talk to you for a second?
Yeah. Let's just go over here.
We
Yeah.
got to use more puns.
More puns? They
That
use
was
a lot
so good.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, like you've heard the podcast.
Yeah.
They need the puns because the idea isn't very
Right.
good.
Okay.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
the gimmicks.
This
of
from the
it.
guys that
gimmicks.
fucking bridge their shit with impersonations. That's fine. I'm just going to make that call. We got a
Impersonations.
We've been rumbled.
tagline. We got a tagline. Do you want to?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yep.
These randy retirees are about to become hardened criminals.
So we'll give you the
solid.
cast once more. We got Meryl Streep
Literally.
playing Beatrice.
Helen Mirren as Gloria,
We got Robert De Niro as Jeremiah.
and Maya Rudolph as Robin.
Yeah.
It's all A-listers. I think
Great
every one of them has
casting.
been nominated
That
for
was
an Academy Award.
Pacino.
Was it?
Yeah, you did. Whoa.
Oh, yeah, no, that was Pacino. I always get those two
Do you have a De
confused.
Niro?
You know what? I don't.
So budget, we're thinking it's about 40 mil.
Oh,
Somewhere
okay.
like there. Like the sequences set back in the 50s and 60s will require some design. Besides that, it's fairly straightforward production except for the transformation sequence.
Who are you going to have? Actually, that's a question. Who are you going to have as the younger version
Of Beatrice.
of Beatrice?
Well, I hadn't really thought that
Ooh,
through.
that's really good. That's a good. What do you guys think? On the spot.
Younger version. So Beatrice was played by
Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep. A younger Meryl Streep
Younger
would be.
Who's that chick? That
Oh, you
was
could have
in-
Katie Heigl. No one likes her.
Oh yeah, what age, Katie?
That's true.
Who was the lady that was in Austin Powers 2, The Spy Who Shagged Me?
Heather Graham?
Heather
Heather
Graham.
Graham?
Yeah.
Heather Graham. That suits.
Roller Girl.
Yeah.
That suits. Yeah, Roller Girl. That suits.
I like
yeah.
that. Okay, and then soundtrack?
A soundtrack collaboration of the Hard-Ons and the Stiffies.
Oh yes.
It's all dick-related music.
Anything with a dick in it.
Yeah, a stiff dick, if we can make it.
The trajectory of having dicks in every episode is continued tonight.
Oh, fantastic.
There's been a lot of
Strong
dicks.
theme.
And the
Fantastic.
I
trajectory.
love that you brought a penis to your
The
story as well.
trajectory of those dicks is pretty strong too.
Yeah.
Uh,
Aggressive.
Aggressive. I've just been really happy with the use of aggressive boner.
Yeah.
Coming from a metal podcast, I'll give you this kind of softball here.
Please.
Cannibal Corpse have a song called "I Come Blood."
Okay.
Oh,
Just in case you want to.
Yeah, roll
crowbar
credits.
that
fade to
in.
black.
I feel like that could possibly be like the psychedelic freak out sort of moment.
When all the shit's going wrong.
Where all the shit's
Farm
going
like
wrong.
animals, yeah.
And you would expect it to be nice and happy, but it's just brutal.
Cannibal Corpse.
Cannibal
Kick drum,
Corpse
kick
death
drum, kick
metal.
drum.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'd watch this movie.
Yeah.
Well, you both have big erections, so I feel like you've enjoyed it.
Well,
They insisted we be naked for this while they are fully clothed.
They said something about acoustics. I
Yeah,
don't
they
know.
said it had something to do with sound or hazing. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
It
couldn't
creates
really
a better
hear.
bounce for us.
Yeah.
It's nice.
I don't know. Or
There's an echo. I'm sorry, there's an echo. If you don't have your dicks out, there's an echo.
Oh, okay,
we
right.
can't
Yeah.
fix in post.
I'm going to be honest. I've had more aggressive boners. Let's put it this
Sure.
way.
Yeah.
I don't know if all the pingers they gave us beforehand are helping or hindering, but it's the weirdest erection I've ever had.
I got a snappy in the supermarket. I got a snappy on the train. I got a snappy from the television.
That's all the time we have this time, folks. You know
Stop
what?
saying time.
Sorry?
Stop saying time.
Say time as many times
That's
as
all
you
the
want.
time as the time you have the time for time.
It's over.
It's over. You know what to do. You can vote for the best film, Fly Away Home, or the other one.
Or the other one, something about gnomes.
Retirement
Gnome.
Yeah.
You know what to do. Go to the Facebook, vote, and you will see a lovely poster from your winnings. I am Jeremy Spoke in class today, David Sons of Northern Darkness from Deaf to Orbit Metal. With me as always is...
Goodbye, I'm Gary Grim.
Thanks for having us along.
There'll be links, you can find us. See ya.
See ya.
See ya. See ya.
Cunts.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
He jumped over 3 linebackers in midair, sprouted pimples like a gazelle.
No one laughs at a master of quack fool.
Real nice. Many have died from starvation due to the difficulty of finding enough food, such as seals.
Shut up. No more Mr. Nice Duck. That's it. Right, Mr. Zitz?
What do you make of that? You know, it's the most fantastic story I've ever heard.
The Brown Carpet Podcast.
Sex, 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 sex. Everybody having sex, sex. Everybody's having sex, sex. Look at all the sex, sex. Everybody's doing the sex, sex. Come on and watch my sex, sex.
Welcome back to the brown carpet. Get fucked, you dog can.
I'm sorry.
Fuck, mate. Should I? One more chance.
Jim closes his eyes tightly and
So
thoughts
3 strikes and I'm out.
We can't get the fuck out. Moister than usual.
Well, you've never seen my underwear after we record, so
We have
how
that
would you know
effect.
how
be
moist it
surprised.
gets? Can we harmonise it? See ya, see ya, see ya, cunts.
Okay.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, lead us off. So,
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.
Cunts.
You're supposed to go see you as well.
I will not.
You're supposed to go. Do it.
No, we're done.
Do
That was
it.
perfect.
No, it
was
wasn't.
good.
I don't think we can do better than that.
It
That
was
was
good,
fucking
man.
magic.
Oh, I think we can.
Okay, all right.
I
we'll
did
see.
not.
I guess
I
see
did
you
not
as
hit
well.
her.
Yeah, and then we go, cunts.
Okay. Oh, we all do cunts.
Yes.
We all do.
All right.
So I'm going to do the
I'll
Craig
get you.
David and you come down on my hand.
Are you going to give us the hand gesture?
Yeah.
Solid Easter egg bits for this episode, boyos. Solid.
Oh, fuck.
All right, here we go.